I had always considered my marriage a source of pride. 12 years with Andrew, my husband, had given me a life full of cherished moments. We had built what many would call the perfect family, a loving partnership, a cozy home, and 2 beautiful children who filled our days with laughter. But as I sit here recounting this story, I realize how fragile that perfect image truly was. We hired Emma when our second child was born. I remember the day Andrew suggested bringing in extra help. I had been exhausted, juggling an infant's constant needs and a restless toddler. Emma seemed like a godsend. 22 years old, fresh out of college, brimming with enthusiasm, and excellent with children. She quickly became part of our household, a comforting presence who seemed to genuinely care for our family. At first, I felt nothing but gratitude toward Emma. She was cheerful, helpful, and seemed to know exactly what our children needed. Andrew often praised her work, telling me how lucky we were to have found someone so reliable. I didn't think much of it at the time, chalking it up to his appreciation for her efforts. But as I look back, I can see the cracks that started forming in our marriage around the same time Emma came into our lives. Andrew began to change subtly, almost imperceptibly at first. He started paying more attention to his appearance, updating his wardrobe, and even buying a cologne I'd never seen him use before. He explained it as wanting to feel refreshed after long workdays, but something about it seemed different. Then there were the long hours he suddenly started spending at home. While I had once complained about his workaholic tendencies, I found it odd that he now made time to help with the kids, often choosing to be around Emma during her daily routines. I brushed off these observations, telling myself I was imagining things. After all, we had a strong marriage, didn't we? But little moments kept piling up. I noticed how often he mentioned Emma in our conversations, casually bringing up her interests or accomplishments. It wasn't just admiration. It was as if he found her endlessly fascinating. Meanwhile, Emma, who had once been chatty and open, began to act more reserved around me. She avoided eye contact, and her once pleasant demeanor turned overly cautious. One evening, as I was tidying up after dinner, I spotted Andrew's phone lying on the kitchen counter. It wasn't like him to leave it unattended. Curiosity got the better of me, and I picked it up. I saw a string of messages between him and Emma. While the texts weren't explicitly romantic, they felt too personal. Discussions about her dreams, her past relationships, even jokes that seemed to carry a private understanding. I put the phone down, my heart pounding. Was I overreacting? Surely Andrew wouldn't cross that line. But the unease wouldn't leave me. Andrew's behavior became increasingly suspicious. He stayed up late under the guise of working, but I often heard faint murmurs coming from his study. His phone, once casually placed around the house, was now guarded like a secret treasure. I began noticing Emma's social media posts, pictures of locations I knew Andrew had visited recently, though he had told me he was there alone for work. The coincidences were too glaring to ignore. The breaking point came one weekend. I had taken the children to visit my parents, leaving Andrew and Emma at home. We returned earlier than expected, and as I walked into the kitchen, I saw them standing too close, their conversation halting the moment I entered. The air felt charged, their expressions guilty. Andrew stammered an excuse about helping Emma with something, but the pit in my stomach told me otherwise. I couldn't ignore the signs any longer. I decided to take action, hiring a private investigator to uncover the truth. Over the next few weeks, the investigator provided me with irrefutable evidence: photos of Andrew and Emma dining together at intimate restaurants, records of hotel stays coinciding with Andrew's business trips. Seeing those images felt like a dagger to my heart. The man I had trusted implicitly, the father of my children, had been leading a double life. That evening, I confronted Andrew. I waited until the children were asleep, my hands trembling as I laid the evidence on the table. He denied it at first, his voice rising in indignation as he accused me of invading his privacy. But when I presented the photos, the receipts, the undeniable proof, his facade crumbled. He admitted to the affair, claiming he had felt bored and unappreciated in our marriage. He said Emma made him feel alive again. I turned to Emma, who had been standing in the doorway, her face pale. She admitted she had fallen for Andrew, believing his promises to leave me and start a new life with her. Her remorse felt hollow, her tears insincere. I asked her to leave immediately. Watching her pack her things and walk out of our home felt surreal, like a nightmare I couldn't wake from. Andrew begged for forgiveness, promising to end the affair and rebuild our marriage. I was torn. Part of me wanted to believe him, to hold on to the life we had built. We began attending counseling, trying to piece together the shattered remnants of our relationship. For a while, it seemed like we might make it through. But the betrayal lingered like a shadow, tainting every interaction. Months later, the familiar signs resurfaced. Andrew became secretive again, his phone once more a guarded object. One evening, as I was putting away laundry, I found a receipt in his jacket pocket, a receipt for the same hotel where he had met Emma. My heart sank. This time I didn't confront him immediately. I needed undeniable proof. I followed him one evening, my suspicions confirmed as I watched him meet Emma at the hotel. The pain was unbearable, sharper than the first betrayal. This wasn't a mistake. It was a choice, a deliberate continuation of his deception. When I confronted Andrew again, there was no room for denial. He admitted he had never truly ended things with Emma, claiming he felt trapped in our marriage. That was the moment I knew I couldn't stay. I deserved better, and so did my children. The process of separation was agonizing, but it also brought clarity. I realized how much of myself I had lost in trying to hold on to a broken marriage. I began to rebuild my life, focusing on my children and my own healing. The journey wasn't easy, but it was worth it. Looking back, I see the red flags I ignored, the moments I dismissed as paranoia. I've learned to trust my instincts, to prioritize my self-worth. While the betrayal will always be a painful chapter in my life, it has also taught me resilience and strength. Today, I stand as a testament to the power of moving forward, finding peace, and rediscovering the love I thought I had lost. Love for myself and for the life I've created with my children.